All right, everyone, I'm going to get started. Good morning. I just turned on the recording to be transparent. We are recording this we may put parts of it out there in the world. We would love to see your beautiful faces, but if you would prefer to keep your camera off, we understand. And good morning. Welcome to our 11-11, which is our monthly Living Your Values conversation that is on the 11th of the month at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So it's 11-2 if you're on the East Coast or somewhere else in the world, but 11-11 here. And my name is Amy Johnson, and I'm a values and idea integrator, and I'm here with my friend and co-facilitator, Sheila Arthur. And we come here every month to talk about values, and we offer a Discover Your Core Values workshop together. We're developing other programs together. We do individual sessions around discovering your core values. So we enjoy talking about values and living our values and helping others do the same. So we are glad you're here. And we really wanted to create an open space with this monthly session, a place to check in about what does it even mean to have values, to live in your values, ask questions. How do you integrate them once you know what they are? What do we even mean by values? Talk about our successes, share them, and also the challenges of doing that in our world today and just in general. So to get us started, I wanted to do a quick review of what we mean when we say core values. What are core values? What are we talking about here? Because oftentimes when we're out in the world, core values are spoken about in a very general way or a binary way. This is a good value, that is a bad value, or just you need to know your values and you're expected to know, or you borrow those from another institution. But what are your own personal core values that are not just used in your personal life, but also can be used in business and in your professional life? So what we talk about, our core values are a single word or short phrase that connects you, to your authentic, most truest self. They are your inner compass that help you guide where you want to go, how to get there, what direction you're going in. It's kind of like your own personal GPS is another way to say that. Every day we make micro decisions based on our values. Whether you decide to name them or not, you're making decisions based on them. So that's like if you're going shopping, if you're going, what you're going to buy, what you're going to eat, how you're going to spend your time, energy, resources, what you're going to say, all of those kinds of things, you're operating from your values and making those decisions often unconsciously. So this process, by naming your values, takes the unconscious conscious. It allows us to be more intentional in how we live our lives, which then brings more peace, fulfillment, and satisfaction whatever we're doing. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little, we'll talk more about it if you have questions specifically about it, but that's kind of a good summary of what values are. And then today we're just going to have a really open conversation. Sheila, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Oh, you said it beautifully, Amy, as always. I think the thing that comes up for me, because we've been talking about it a lot, is that even though you may have a set of core values, sometimes you are weighing the gravity or the importance of them in different ways, depending upon what's happening in your life. So you may have two values and one of them supersedes the other at a particular time when you're making a decision. And that's kind of the nuanced part about values that we love to talk about, because it's not black and white or cut and dried. It's not one and done. It's none of those things. It's something that we have to live into and then recognize these are how they're showing up and what ones have the most importance at any particular time.
That's great. And that's really important too, because that's why we want the conversation is so helpful to do regularly, because it's not a black and white situation, but it's really an opportunity for each of us to get clear for ourselves and be more intentional in how we live our lives. So today we are talking about when you start something new, how do you use your values? How can they be helpful in that? Because there's lots of checklists out there when you're starting something new, if it's a new business, new project, even a new house that you're buying, or building a new, sorry, my daughter's looking at me from outside. Sorry, distracted me. But real life moment in the moment. Zoom, thank you. But so you're starting something new, and it doesn't matter if whatever it is, even if it's a new chapter, in your life, starting something new is an opportunity to use your values in a different way. And so I wanted to talk about 3 ways that I think can be really helpful in applying your values. So obviously, the first thing is you have to have a clear set of what your values are, which, like I said, we offer in either our workshops or we've been working one-on-one with individuals. If you prefer to do it that way, you can reach out to us and we can certainly facilitate that, or work with a team, specific team. But you know your values, and then you look at your project or the next set of what you're going to do, the next chapter, and you spend time with each value and you write about how that looks in each value. What is it going to look like? What's this project going to look like? So for me, if I was doing a marketing project, what was interesting was I went through marketing, a certain kind of marketing project, and I applied it, all my values, which I have 7 different values, and what would that look like? And how does that look with each value? And then you pick one that really stands out. And that value for me with marketing was my value of flourish, which actually talks about blooming and blossoming and growing, expanding, being visible, and beauty. And how would marketing have anything to do with flourish? Well, for me, when I wrote it out, it really was about spreading joy, spreading goodness, spreading good things. And so for me, flourish became the value that was attached to marketing. So I picked the one that kind of had the juiciest aspect, and that helped me lead the way with the project. And then the third thing was accountability. It was really important. That was not accountability to something outside, but really accountability to myself. How can I stay accountable to myself if I'm going to use my values? And what that would mean is doing values audits, checking in monthly or quarterly with myself, particularly, or it could be with another person, about how are my values actually looking in what I'm doing. And that just helps us stay in alignment. And with that, it becomes more conscious, more satisfying. And we just offer our truest self, our purpose and passion out into the world in a new way. So when we're starting something new, it's important to be clear about our values. It's important to find one that might be leading the way. As Sheila talked about, they can be at different levels, but what is the one that seems to be the most important, that has the best energy around it, really, like flourish for me? And the third would be then accountability. How can I be and stay accountable to myself? And I have a membership called the Values Connection, and I could put a link in the chat if you want to join, but each week we do accountability and Feel Good Fridays so that we can stay accountable to living in our values in a positive way. This isn't about a punitive accountability. So when we start something new, it's kind of cool. We have a new way to do it. And using our values really helps us find that satisfaction. Sheila, and what would you like to say?
Oh, again, there's so many different aspects to starting something new. And the whole notion of using values, I was thinking about for myself, the things that I'm starting new. And I think that the biggest thing for me right now is around the new normal. Because I feel like, and it goes with that whole thing, because one of my values is learn and flourish. So I've added learn and flourish together. And as I'm in kind of like spreading my wings and getting out there more and wanting to have more adventure, that is like right in the forefront of my mind, is having that experience. Okay, so what have I learned? What am I going to continue to learn? How do I want to learn going forward? And how do I want to continue to flourish? So that's the one that keeps coming up for me when I think about something new, doing this, the new thing. But I'm really interested in what brought people here today. And if I would like to just go around, or if you're open to that, to just share with us where you are today and what brought you to the conversation. So anybody could start.
Hi, this is Shiloh. I'll
Hi,
start.
Shana.
I'm here today because I have been listing out some of my core values. I have a list of about 7, and I'm writing down good ones that I hear as we go, or all of them. What I'm trying to do, the new thing that I'm trying to start, is figure out what is the new thing that I'm trying to start. So I don't have the project. I think I have pretty firm, like I've done some boundary assessments and some figuring out what my different types of boundaries are. But yeah, I'm not sure yet where to apply them. Also trying to figure out my new normal, and yeah, I want to make sure that whatever is next is something that's aligned, obviously, with those values. So that's what I'm here for today. Hope maybe some inspiration on that.
Beautiful.
And I'm in California, by the way.
Yay. Beautiful,
me.
beautiful. Thank you for that. Yes, absolutely. That's the thing. We don't always know what the thing is, but the values really do help you in identifying it. And when I think about another value of mine, which is just reverence for life, and that encompasses a nature and all things that are living. So I know that has to be an important part for me, because that's the part that has sustained me throughout this whole year. That kept me so grounded to be able to go out in nature. And I know that going forward, that needs to be a part of whatever it is that I'm doing, that I need to incorporate that as well. So it's just thinking about the values can sometimes get you there as well, learning what the thing is. So thank you, Shiloh, for showing up today.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here, and I appreciate that too, because I meant to actually say that even if you don't know exactly what the new thing is, that the values are really helpful to do that. And someone came to me and said, I want to do something next. And she was an actress, a model, and wanted to do something, cared about the environment. And so we went through and started with her values and built a business around that. So it really can come. We're often thinking we have to kind of think of the thing and then apply the values, but actually the values may hold the key to the next thing, and then it comes the other way around. And so when you start with your values and see, because then she ended up building a sustainable fashion platform. So it combined all of those things together, and is still, 10 years later working in that arena. So and became a thought leader in that space. So it really is just about, the answers may be right there, and it might be trying things out and then running the different systems through the value, or different ideas through the values. But happy to talk about it more. So if you have more questions, certainly
Thanks.
We can workshop it here too. Who else would like to share what brought you here?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, it's Jude. Sorry, I'm on my way home, so I'm calling in. But wow, already I've gotten, if I hung up now, I would get the value that I came here for and didn't even know. Wow, that was really incredible. Was there a question at the beginning about what are we starting new? Is that what I'm catching? No.
We usually have a topic each month, as you know. So the topic this month is, if you're starting something new, how do your values help guide you and help you create the life you love? So
yeah,
it's generally
okay. Yeah, perfect.
So feel free to talk about anything you want. It doesn't have to be about starting something new.
Okay. Well, no, that is so amazing, because I'm in, I'm so grateful to be here, even by phone for now. And what I'm stepping into, really a new way of approaching my life. And I already heard the previous woman, the previous person talk about boundaries. And I am really stepping into really living my true nature and letting go of all of the people pleasing and giving my power to other people in the most subtle ways that I'm just starting to really understand. And so for me, I'm stepping into, in this next month, and I'll share about the values, in just going inward, really staying closely connected and in my awareness and noticing what I'm noticing, and really a deeper connection with spirit, the divine, the universe, whatever everybody chooses to call it. And to really get clear inside myself about who I truly am and how I really want to be as I move forward in my life. And, I love what you just said, Amy, about the values can be the key to setting up you know, how we move forward, whether it's our vocation or career or whatever it is. And, you know, this, just being on this call right now already guides me into really deepening my values, like really using them as my North Star and my compass, you know, because I have been so conditioned to, you know, giving myself away, you know, and so this is brilliant and amazing. And I'm really excited to almost do it, you know, use this as a practice, you know, as a new practice for myself. And I've heard several times you talk about, you know, from the beginning, you know, putting sticky notes, you know, doing all these things. And I'm like, okay, now I'm ready. You know, I'm ready to step into this as my, almost like my guardian in a sense. I don't know, that word just came to me, but just grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jude. It's really true, I think, and I'm so glad you're here. And it is exciting to be able to take the time to go deeper with this work, because a lot of times we have ideas about what matters to us, but that act of actually intentionally having a set of values that we can then apply, it allows us not to be so judgmental too, because it's just a way to live in alignment, and it allows us to not, for me, the people pleasing can get really painful actually. And so it does help me stay connected to me, even in difficult situations, personal, professional, what have you. And they're kind of a shortcut in a sense. By doing this kind of work, they're a shortcut that you can then use in many different situations without having to kind of start from scratch and do a big long journal. You'll do some writing, but you'll have a really quick way to get back to yourself, whatever the situation might be. So thank you. Glad to see you, or hear you at least.
Thank you. You know, I also just want to say one really quick thing, and thank you for sharing that. And Amy, you know a little bit like my journey. I really think also it's kind of a key to my healing, my health, you know, is being in such alignment. And it is a way, as you were talking, I just recognized it is a way of, it's what I can do to empower myself, you know, which is what I'm really leaning into. Like, what are all the tools that I can really use within myself to empower myself? And that just came to me as you were sharing that, you know, is by living by my values.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes and yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for that share, Jude. Yes. Anybody else want to share what brought them here today? Jerome? Hi, Jerome, you're still on mute.
I'll just check in. I'm sorry I arrived so late. I'm in the middle of a big job and I just couldn't get here in time. But just glad to be here and see all you smiling faces. And nice to see my old friend Constance again. It's been a long time. How you doing? And so I'll leave it at that. I just wanted to check in and say hi to everybody.
Welcome. Always welcome, Jerome. Glad to see you.
So glad to see you.
Yes.
Amy, I put my message in the chat.
I'm sorry, Corinder, could you repeat that, please?
No, I was saying to Amy that I put my message in the chat.
Oh, you put your message in the chat. Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, so you can see Amy.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll look at that. And Catherine, did you want to say something? Did I see your bar light up, or not to put you on the spot? Are you frozen? Did I freeze?
Yeah,
Can
I'm
all hear
hearing you
me?
fine, Amy. You're good.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll check in.
Okay.
Great.
Hi, Constance.
So I'm here because I took Amy and Sheila was the guest host at that time, weekend workshop. And always stands out in my mind when I'm working on thinking of something positive. And the values, I have the little list. And I'm here because I finally made it. I've been wanting to do the 11th on the 11th now. So I appreciate not giving up and sending the emails. And I'm here also because I'm always open to new ways of finding positive break time and connection. And it seems time goes so fast these days. It's good to have check-in and reminder about values, because sometimes I'll get going so fast. There's a saying about, there's a prayer, like I went so fast today, I forgot to pray, and then my day was crap. That's my interpretation of it. Thank you all for being here. It's great to check in.
Thank you for that, Constance. Glad you finally made it. Yay!
We're really glad you're here. Yes. And I have found that things are moving fast quite right away. Like, I'm not sure what happened, but things are moving very quickly each day. Things are picking up, things are busy, the roads are busier. And with that, it's really important to stay connected. And I think that for me, I look forward to these monthly because we get to have an opportunity to have a real conversation about what's underneath the surface of what's going on. It's a real place to talk about what matters. And so for us individually. And so I really appreciate that too. Like you said, a break that we'll use time to recalibrate. We say that, right? Connect, recalibrate, clarify. That's the purpose of these is that accountability, recalibration aspect of it. So anyone else?
I can try again. I don't think I'm frozen anymore.
Oh, there we are. Okay.
Sorry about that. I recently launched a business, and it's been really helpful looking back at the values from the March workshop. And that's really helped led me to what this would look like and how it can hit on each of my values. So I'm really looking forward to understanding how that can guide me and help the business evolve and flourish and use this as a foundation. So thank you for having these and having me.
That's great. You're so excited. It was fun talking to you about it, and it's exciting for you. Yeah. And it's not just a new business. It's a transition change too. It's a turning point for you.
It is.
So I think that's a powerful thing to acknowledge as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I care about anything about all your body online about sex. I think that is more important than in you. Like in your body.
I'm having trouble.
I read in the chat, Corinder said about staying in touch with your body.
Yes.
Making sure that was an important part of being in touch with your values and what's going on was, knowing what's going on with your body also was what I got out of the chat that Corinder wrote.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because there's a way to, I call it presence, Corinder, when I think about that. It really is about showing up fully. So not just being in the headspace, but also being able to occupy your body and your experience of your body, your experience of the moment, what's happening. And so my value of presence helps me to stay anchored. It's a wonderful way to stay anchored because it's like particularly, oh my goodness, I know in the last months, the process for me of getting out in nature and walking has been that connection that I've been able to maintain. And when I'm in a space of like really being able to observe and experience things, it becomes a lot clearer. Things become a lot clearer. Whatever issues I might have kind of melt away or they get clarified. I get a better sense of what's happening. And so, yes, I can completely identify with the body part and using your body as a guide, because that also gives you a lot about your emotions, what's happening for you, how you're interacting with people and space and everything else. So yes, that's powerful.
Yes, and I would say that my value of connection is that piece. So my value of connection, that's where it shows up for me in terms of connecting with my body, connecting with my spirit. And when I launch a new business or new project or anything regarding that, it's important for me to make sure that I take time to stay connected to my body. So when I be writing about my values, that's how I find that harmony between personal self and being able to actually build something that I want and love, is that I make sure that I take the breaks that Constance talks about, that I practice yoga regularly, that I move my body physically out and walking. And I think you put another thing in the chat here now that I have the chat open. You said, because I've seen people feeling upset because of their sex life and that they don't have any space with their life. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but if you're being people just.
So what I mean is that, like people tell me that they don't give people space in their cell. So like people don't give any space.
They don't have
talking about
any
in
space. They don't
Mhm.
have any
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't give ourselves enough space either.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Like
So
to
that's-
just give ourselves some physical space as well.
Yes.
Right.
Especially if it's coming with sex. Like
Yeah.
people
Oh,
are.
with sex, particularly with sex. Well, if you're talking, you know, yes, and I think there's all different kinds and ways of having sex, but also values do play a part in our personal and intimate relationships as
Oh,
well.
God.
So it's important to know your values, and we've had, you know, it's come up in our core values workshops too, because that's an important part of being human and being our value and how that gets expressed. So what that looks like for each person, but knowing your values, you can also then know who your partners are and be really clear about what that looks like, even if it's yourself. So there's all many ways of expressing ourselves
Oh yeah.
sexually
And like
in the world.
liking people like someone, yes, they were 42. Say, oh, I felt now I have any sex life. I mean, that's your own personal business, not mine. If you know what I have no sex life, then confidentiality. I'm not the I'm just like you guys, a normal being.
I sort of understood part of what you were saying, but
Hmm.
if you want to put more in the chat, that would be helpful. If you have another question, or if there's someone else who we might want to check in, make sure we hear from everybody. We could put a pause in that, Karinder, that would be great. Susan, did you want to check in, or Cynthia, and say hello?
Hello. How are you? Yes.
Yeah.
Everything's going well. And I'm so happy to be here. And I'm looking forward to, I invited some of my other realtors, but I will continue to invite them. And I'm glad I have that invite link so I can just set the link there. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad.
Always glad to have you. Always glad to have you, Cynthia.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting too, because I know you work in real estate and often you work as a team. Sometimes it's individual, but as a team. And when we're talking about teams in business, it's so important to know what our values are individually, but then what is our group value? What is our business value? Because then it helps us put forth something different, but we're clear about ourselves, and then we create this separate group that then has values that can operate from that too. So it's an interesting way to work together. That can be family too. It doesn't have to be just a team like a real estate agency, but it could be a business, it could be coworkers, it could be a family. It's
or like a friend. Or like a friend.
You said, or like a friend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we have values.
also say that someone you really trust, like that who knows you and you trust them.
Oh, you're talking about trust.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Understood. Yes, yes. And that's part of a value. I mean, like for me, authenticity and truth fits in with trust. So all these things that you're bringing up as like values, these are all really important values, and we would invite you to like really look at what yours are, and as you're identifying them, let them be the part that guides you through, because you've talked about the trust, you've talked about having space and showing up, and all of those things are really important. So thank you for your share. Appreciate that, Karinder. Okay. So what's happening? Is anybody doing anything new? I mean, is there anything new that's happening for people that like I was saying, this is the time for me that I really am trying to figure out. And everything in a way, everything feels new because things are starting to open up again. And I think I have only realizing at this point how constricted my life has felt in a way, because it's expanding so much now. I did the best that I could during the last year or so of the pandemic, and really felt like I was able to make a lot of headway. But now I feel like there's so much more opportunity. And so I do feel this sense of, okay, there's a newness afoot, and I know that I want to do some things differently, and I know I want to do more and kind of bring more things into my life that have been missing. And I'm wondering if anybody else is feeling that spark of newness because of just where we are relative to things opening up and this new normal. So where are other people with that?
I have something to say, Sheila.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's an exciting thing because we had all these months to just hunker down and figure out who we are as people. So it was a great time and space. Now we got to get in touch with our values, and with your presentations, we can define our values. So now we're going out into the world with new awareness of our values. So we're going to meet up with friends, we're going to meet up with clients, we're going to meet up with maybe co-workers. But now we'll be meeting up totally as a new person because the old sat down for a while. So with me, I will look at some of my friendships and see how they serve me with my new values. And also in my work life, is that really going to serve me with who I've identified myself to be?
Mm.
So we're going out there as a new person.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And the values work, the identification of values can make that even more clear for ourselves, because we can begin to see who we are in those situations and make decisions more consciously because they're coming from a place of value. So I think you're totally right. We are new. And what's nice is the values help us define what that is, so it doesn't become vague. It's more clear out. And then when we make decisions, we know where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wanted to ask if either Catherine or Shiloh wanted to workshop anything they were thinking about. No pressure, but if we wanted to ask any questions or talk about what you're working on, and we are happy to reflect back too. This is a good place to do it, but you don't have to. Nope, I didn't want to put you on the spot. No? Okay.
Yeah, right now I'm starting to look at different partnerships and what that could look like. So reaching out. So I started a cheese and charcuterie board service, and I live in Connecticut, so delivering in my county and surrounding areas. and a portion of proceeds benefit 3 different organizations that are close to my heart. And the whole idea of it is to support these organizations and build meaningful community, and also just eat really good food. And so I was hoping to partner with some local wineries or breweries, the farms that are around here, and just trying to figure out what that looked like. As I started doing some outreach, I found what will probably be one of many of my first competition and what that looks like. And my immediate thought was like, oh, we should team up and how do we do this together? And then remembering like, oh, they're much more well established. They have this. So trying to understand how can we exist in the same area and be helpful to each other rather than seeing each other as competition, but also finding a way for me to expand and find my own style, which I did not know that there were so many different cheese and charcuterie board styles, but there are. And so figuring out what makes us different and how we can support each other, and also make it unique to our specific brands.
I think that's great. And it's a really good question too. And how can the values maybe help that? With partnerships, one of the strategies and tools that has been really helpful to me is to literally look at who you're partnering with. If it's a winery or maybe a platter company, whoever you're going to actually like do a collaboration with, or another person, and as you're walking through, you take the time to look at your values and use the lens of your values to look at what they're doing. And what I found when I've done that, it's encouraged me to ask more questions. So if I'm looking and going through my values, oh, connection, this is how they connect with their audience. This is how they connect with the land. This is how they connect with other people, with me, how their communication has been. So that's my value of connection. And I write about that, my experience thus far. Or I'll look on their website and see what they say. How do they respond to customers? How do they respond to questions? And then I'll look at sustainability. And I did this recently where I didn't have enough information on answering that. And so, because sustainability is one of my values, so I went out and took more time to get really clear. And it just inspired more conversation, inspired more ability to know what mattered to me and where there was alignment and where there wasn't. It didn't necessarily mean they wouldn't be a good partner if there wasn't complete alignment, but it did give me the identification of what those areas might be, so that moving forward, I had the clarity of that, and it takes it into that kind of wise mind, as opposed to like an excited rational mind or a logical mind. It takes me into the wise mind. So it allowed me to really be clear going forward. And then with competition, it's somewhat, well, I think first differentiation is key. We've talked about that before. What are the things? And you can look to your values to see how to differentiate yourself in a market. Like, what is it about you that is different? And, I like to ask the values the question, like, how am I different? Okay, what is this? A connection. I like to connect with people in this way. Or sustainability, I'm going to do this. So you can ask your values, answer me. It's a writing exercise. Put the timer on for 20 minutes, put it out there, ask the question and see what shows up. And I've often had insight from those kind of exercises in that regard. And we notice the competition, we welcome them, but we don't have to dwell on it either. It's more about keeping the focus on ourselves and being able to know ourselves really clearly, differentiate ourselves, and be the company that most reflects you. Because at this stage, that's what you're building. You're building what you want to be known for. And that's going to change and pivot as you grow. I've had to reinvent myself many different times in my life. So, but each time I did, I got clearer about a specific value. But if you start with a set of values, it's a little bit easier. That's why I do this work, because I kind of pick them up along the way with each reinvention, as opposed to like, oh, this is clear. So I'm excited about working with high schoolers. I don't know what that is. I think it's hold on a second. That's my house. Hold on.
I'm going to jump right in there while Amy's handling that. I saw Corinder, you had your hand up, and one of the things I saw you had in the chat was that you're working on a book. And that's like definitely something new, right?
Yeah, I am working on the book because
Excellent.
I'm working on like I explained earlier. I think people WhatsApp me and luckily I have messages as well. I am also a radio presenter, like now for disabled people. So I am a radio presenter, like who work on the radio.
Okay, so you're working on a book, and I'm not getting all of what you're saying because there's a little bit of a gap in there. So
and also I am a radio presenter, like a radio.
you said
presenter.
radio.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
No,
So
I'm
those
a
are
radio
those are
presenter as well.
those are big adventures
Yeah.
in terms of being out there and having presence and showing up. So those are really big things. That really, when you think about how values come into play in those areas as well, being very clear about what it is that you want to say and the way in which you want to say it, your own voice, creating your own voice and having your own voice be that voice that shows up, that people can relate to. I mean, there's so much of being able to identify your values in that as well. So excellent for that. Congratulations.
And also, while I get in the chat, because not every value like a positive, there's negative. So there's two types of value.
Okay.
There's
So,
positive and negative. So please remember that.
okay. So you said something about not everybody, and I here's the thing that is very helpful for me in these kinds of discussions, Corinder. It's very helpful because I know that it's very easy to generalize about what a lot of other people are doing. And it's very helpful for me when I can hear about what is happening, particularly for you, because it becomes, this is about you and what you're doing to flourish. I get that there's a lot of other things that are happening out there. And so it's easier to relate to and to answer your questions or to comment when you're talking from your own place. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm very excited for what it is that you're doing and what you're going to be birthing with that book and with the radio, because that's really powerful stuff. So thank you for that. Okay, Amy, you're all okay now, I hope.
I think it was a candle and
Oh, got it.
I was like, did I leave something on the stove?
Got it.
You never know. I've done it before.
Okay, no worries. Okay.
But no, it was, I think the smoke detector went off because of the candle, but we're good. Thank you for your patience and tolerating the interruption. Zoom.
No worries. Yeah. So I just want to go back to, gosh, you guys have such powerful things about just that space from moving from hunkering down. And I love what you said, Cynthia. I wrote that down, the hunkering down to the moving forward. And I think that there's this rhythm that happens in life, even though it's not necessarily related to what's been happening with the pandemic, but just the way that we process things. Like there's a period of incubation and there's a period of going inward that's required before we birth anything, right? Bringing anything new into the world. And oftentimes, I know, at least for me, I have to have a real sense of allowing that space to be, because it's not the most comfortable place. It seems like there's a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty in that area because something hasn't emerged yet, right? So it's like I always think about the seeds in the ground and how things bloom, and you plant something and you don't get to keep digging it up to see if it's if it's starting to bloom and take shape, because you'll kill it, right? You have to allow that to like the soil and everything else to nourish and feed it before you start to see the sprout. And so it really feels like moving in that direction from being in a place of contraction to this place of expansion. And that for me always feels like the process of creating or experiencing something new is going from that kind of closed space to something that's more open, and then you can see the fruits of what has been germinating for a time. So just wanted to share that because that was one of the insights that I just got just being here today with you guys, which is always what happens for me.
And I think I really appreciate that too, because it is that transition, and it is, and as we talk about a turning point, there is an expansion with that happens, and it is the natural flow. I mean, even every day that happens with sunset and morning, or seasonally, how the trees change each season. So that is a natural part of life too. And the values help that, because it gives those through lines of connection and the clarity between the transitions, and they can be relied upon. Because I know for me, expansiveness is a thing that sounds great, but I can have a lot of anxiety around that. Like, what does that look like? What does it mean to be more visible? What does it mean to step out more? And so when I can rely on my values, that helps me make that transition more smooth, and trust that the transition and whatever happens through when the baby's born, it's one that is tied to something that I can rely on, have the clarity around when I go into that next phase of life, and feel them more fulfilled in that regard too. And I was thinking about, I'm looking out at some ginkgo trees that my friend Jerome helped plant in our backyard, and they're doing so well. And we planted one on December 31st, 2020, and then we planted one a month later. And the one that we planted a month later has a lot more leaves and started like sprouting way before the new year, or the last day of 2020 tree. But when I checked it for the first time, it had this little tiny bud, and now it's doing pretty well. It's not quite caught up to the other one, but it's just that I love that little December 31st, 2020 tree, because it's going, it's on its own pace, and we all have our own pace with all this work that we're integrating. And I love looking at them, and I want to go water them. And we planted some not that long ago, and they're all kind of doing well, but it just shows how, because I was like, oh no, this was planted earlier. Shouldn't this one be bigger than the other one? That was my first thought. No, it has nothing to do with it. Maybe tell me wrong if I'm wrong, Jerome, but I was like just so happy. It was doing its own thing.
I think the slower one had a traumatic childhood.
It definitely did. Because it went from like transitioning into expansion. Yeah.
Oh, that's so well, that there's the late bloomer thing, right? There's that too. I just realizing how much just recognizing that everything has its period of blossoming, and blossoms in its own way. And we get to control part of that. We don't get to control all of that, right? So for me, I'm also practicing self-compassion, right? Just being compassionate and patient and kind as I go through these phases, because it's like, at this stage of the game, it's like, this is not my first rodeo. Okay, I've had this experience before, and it feels uncomfortable, but I know that I'll get through it, and I know that the way to get through it is just to be present as it happens and things emerge. But there's always this real discomfort that I just have to be compassionate and patient about. And some days, like yesterday was a day I went for a walk on the beach, and I could actually feel in my body. It usually is like a really enthusiastic kind of walk. It's like this really kind of like, okay, kind of plodding along, right? This is my body language. It was a language to me. This is what's happening. And I'm just really kind of resisting this place. And by the end of the walk, I was moving at a better clip, and I kind of like shook that off a little bit. But again, it's like just being, I said, if this is the best walk that I can do today, that's okay. Because it's like, this is all part of it. so I'm just still moving forward. But then it turned out to be a little bit better as I went along. And again, that's just relaxing with what's new and what's emerging and giving it the space to just be and for it to show up as it shows up, and recognizing that we don't get to control everything. And that's always a humbling experience for me. And I realize that anew at least once a week. We don't get to control everything. And that's good.
And it's part of integration. We talk about integration a lot.
Yes.
We
Yes.
need time and space to do that.
Yes.
So,
Yes, Jerome.
Jerome.
I'm afraid I have to get off early. I haven't contributed much today. But I have another Zoom meeting starting at 12. So I really have to get off and get on that one and have some lunch in 10 minutes. So
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Great.
I see
Oh, yeah.
Cynthia has to go too. Thank
Yep.
you, thank you, thank you. We're
Okay.
glad to have you here. Come back again. Thanks.
Will do.
We'll be here next month on the 11th.
I know.
I'll be on the East Coast calling in.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Constance. I'll talk to you later.
Great.
Oh my goodness. Okay, here we
Charlotte,
are.
I love your Wizard of Oz photo that you have in there for yourself with the ruby red slippers. So I love that. That's great.
Thank
Yes,
you.
beautiful. It's a beautiful metaphor, right?
I don't know if you've ever heard of Tag Yourself, but I like to ask people who they are in the picture.
Oh,
And sometimes it moves and you can actually see the little flashes that come out of her hands or that react from the shoes or whatever happens in that moment.
oh,
So I always I like to ask people, who are you in the photo? But that's you can just take that with you. Tag yourself. But thank you for the time today, ladies. I really appreciated not just the ladies, but everyone on the call and the host as well. I really appreciated everyone's time and their sharing.
Yes, it was great to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Shiloh. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyone else want to say anything? I don't know if Jude, if you're still on, or Constance or Susan. We have about 4 or 5 minutes left to chat about anything in your mind. Is it good?
Hi, were you asking me if I wanted to say anything?
Yeah.
This call has been so, sorry, I was unmuting, so fulfilling and really, as a word you would both use, Sheila and Amy, so rich. And yeah, I got home and I just took out my sheet that had a little dust off with my values, and I got out my big sticky things, and I'm ready. I'm really, I don't want to say it with this energy of well, I'm going to dive in, because that's not the energy I want to have, but I'm really open and moved, and called to really explore this in a deeper way. So I just thank you, for the two of you, for being, for all the gifts that you offer us so graciously. And Amy, I think I just texted you. You were referring to a link at the beginning that you were going to put, and I'm not on camera. I'm not on Zoom
Okay.
that way. So if you don't mind just sending it to me, I'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It is the Values Connection, and I created a private community that's not on Facebook. It's on something called Mighty Networks, and it's called the Values Connection. And it's for people who know their values, and it's a free membership, and we'll have special programs in there eventually. But right now it's just a place for us to gather and connect with each other, be accountable, share information. It's just like-minded folks who want to live a values-based life, professionally, personally, in all areas. So I can share
Wow.
it. I'll text it to you. And
Thank you. Absolutely. And yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. There's other people, but just everyone who shared, thank you so much. And I look forward to next month.
so good. to have you.
Likewise. Yes, likewise. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. That's good.
Okay. Any final words? Anybody?
Well, as you all go out and being in this new normal and whatever new thing you're doing, because there's always something new. My hope is that your values can help guide the way for you and offer you some confidence and fulfillment as you try new things. And the ability to do that with knowing that you have the clarity of what matters to you as you put forth really makes a difference in whatever you do, because it is whatever is new, and however you expand and push, you don't have to like move your comfort zone, get out of your comfort zone. Someone wise, Coach Constance talks about that, going to the edge of your comfort zone. And values can help they really help me do that, because I know why I'm doing it. I have the purpose, I have the passion, I have the intent behind it. And it allows me, just like marketing's not my favorite thing, but knowing I am going to look at it as flourishing, the reframe really makes that difference. So the three things I shared in the beginning, if in case you missed it, were when you start something new, get clarity about your values, know what they are, name them, take the time to actually name them and know them and have them clear. That can happen there's many different ways to do that. We offer a program around that, and we'll offer some more. Then also find the one that really has the energy around it, that resonates. There's probably one that stands out. For me, when I was talking about a marketing project, it was Flourish. And then being accountable to yourself. You can come here, be accountable in, like I said, the Values Connection, we're accountable there each week. So it allows us to really stay connected and authentic with ourselves, to know that we're on the right track. And if we're off the track, we get back on. It's not a big deal. But having, like, whether that's quarterly, monthly, weekly, you decide for yourself. So I will leave you with that little review. And is there anyone final words for anyone? Sheila, any final words?
Just thank you. Thank you all for being here. I say this every time, and it's equally true. I always learn more about myself and values and what's up for me, and having these conversations. So it's a rich place to do that. And just grateful for everybody being here. And yeah, it's good stuff. Values work is so important, and I feel so committed to it, because it makes such a difference in my life every day. So,
and thank you, Sheila.
Yeah.
Love doing this with you.
Likewise. Okay. And hopefully we'll see you next month. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.